Hi guys, Aussie Expat here, coming at you with another important video. Since getting into the hobby, I've been wanting to talk to a lot of other watch people as part of the whole, YouTube thing. I love your comments. But in the real world, I spot someone with a watch and I'll compliment them if it's sort of like, a nicer watch. And I don't just mean rich, I mean like maybe they've got a J2100, a Casio or something like that. They might be a watch person. But when I spot someone for Rolex, more often than not, they're not a watch person. Let's get stuck into it. First of all, just a quick wristwatch check. We got the Hulk. Today's a Friday. I'm trying to wear the more colorful pieces. So since getting stuck into watches, I've had a few encounters where I compliment someone, strike up a conversation. And interestingly enough, most of those conversations are pretty fruitless if the person is wearing a Rolex. So I've got a couple examples. So recently I saw someone with a really nice bluesy on. Sort of went with their style, a little loose shirt with some gold chains. But beautiful watch. So I said, "Hey, nice bluesy." And he had no idea what the hell I was talking about. He had no fucking clue. I said, "The watch." And he goes, "Oh yes, it's a Rolex." I'm going, "Yes, it's very nice. I fell in love with that particular watch about 13 years ago." And then he complimented me on my watch. I was wearing my Tudor Pelagos. I was wearing blue. It was really fitting. And I said, "Oh yes, it's Tudor Pelagos." And he said, "Nice." But his face obviously said he has no fucking clue what I was talking about. Another encounter, there was a waiter that was wearing one of the 5600s, but the new clear one. And I said, "Hey, very cool watch. I happen to have the J2100, the SKE, the clear one. These are really fun watches." I struck up a little bit of conversation. And the next time I was at that restaurant, I was actually wearing my Hulk. And I forgot that waiter was there, but when he came to service, he said, "Hey, nice watch." And I go, "Oh yeah, thank you. I'm very lucky to have it." He said, "It's the Hulk, right?" And yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. The guy with the transparent 5600 knows what he's talking about. Meanwhile, the guy with the Rolex didn't even know what was on his wrist. Now, I don't expect everyone to know nicknames, but there was another guy who I met, and he had on a 116610 LN, nice modern sub. And he sort of seemed to know a little bit of the watch game or something. Like, he didn't know what an AD was, but he knew that Rolexes are hard to get. And he said he really wanted the bigger date just, but was having a lot of trouble. And I'm thinking, you're having trouble getting a date just and you already got a sub on your wrist? And yeah, the date just 41 is a little hard to get now, but he referred to it as a date just 2. So I think he was just a little embarrassed to be with another Rolex person who didn't really know what they were talking about. But I'll give that one the benefit of a doubt. On another occasion, someone had an SKX on, and undoubtedly that person was a watch person, and actually it was another waiter. So it's really interesting to see that basically you strike out whenever someone's got a Rolex on, and on the other hand, you're bound to have a WIS if they've got like a enthusiast Casio or enthusiast SKX. So overall, out of those encounters, the talks, the conversations I've had with the people who have Rolexes have been shit. And the people who have the Casios and the Seikos, those are the ones who are having fun. So just overall, the conversations I've had with people who have Rolex, it's just basically shit. And the people who have Seikos and Casios tend to know what they're talking about. It just got me thinking, the majority buyer of a Rolex is really not someone who's really into watches. The majority buyer is someone who really is just looking for that status piece. They don't care, they're willing to spend the money, and it really has nothing to do with the watch as far as I can tell. They're gonna like it, they're gonna like the look of it, whatever. But the reality is like me complimenting someone's watch in the hopes of starting a conversation with them is probably a dead end if they're wearing a Rolex. 9 times out of 10, maybe even higher. I'm gonna ask my AD this actually. So like 9 times out of 10, this person probably doesn't know anything about watches. That yeah, it might be a conversation starter, but it's also a conversation ender because they don't know shit. So I'm at the point where I'm just not going to try unless they're wearing something really, really interesting, like as in it's like an old Daytona or something like that. Something non-obvious, something that would have been harder to get. Even if they aren't a watch person when they got it, they're an older guy, they're a boomer, it'd be interesting to know like what it was like to have that watch for a period of time. Which also plays a little bit into what does a watch say about you. And unfortunately, I think as a brand, Rolex is it's a double-edged sword. They obviously are a coveted brand, which is a nice thing, but it's so coveted that people will wear it and buy it, even if they don't give a fuck about watches. Which is kind of sad because I see people and say, I'll watch a circle jerk, who genuinely think that people who buy Rolex are idiots or something like that. Now, I kind of agree that the majority customer I'm talking about, I can understand that perspective on. They've merely paid for status and they don't truly understand what they're getting. As a wannabe watch wanker like myself, I actually think that Rolex is delivering a lot of value for the money that they charge. The only brand that I think is actually doing better value for what you get is actually Tudor, but we know why that is. That's a sub-brand of Rolex. I mean, if I had to compare a lot of brands, I mean, you look at where Rolex is priced, they are delivering pretty good watches for the money. Omega's pricing is very, very close. The value retention's poor, and I don't think their watches are as good. I think Tudor is killing Omega in that they're delivering really high quality watches at a lower price point. And so while Rolex is delivering a good product, most people are only buying it for the brand. And that's a real shame because they are actually getting a really good product for their money. It'd be way more awesome if these people stayed away from Rolex, left it for people who actually really liked watches, and they all went and bought Hublots. But that's not going to happen. Yeah, there's some people, maybe younger people, that are attracted to Hublots. They do enough advertising, but Rolex still just does way more. All right, that was a pretty complicated topic. And as always, please don't subscribe, don't watch videos. But if you like watches, please leave a comment down below, discourage other people from getting them because I want them all.